The movie begins with a scene showing a police officer chasing a fast-moving motorcycle. The motorcyclist, in an attempt to escape, speeds into a house's garden but ends up falling into a swimming pool, after which he is arrested by the police. This motorcyclist is Sean. Although Sean is later bailed out by his stepfather, Hank, due to the strained relationship between them, Sean does not express any gratitude. When they arrive home, Sean's mother, Elizabeth, questions him about why he broke into the satellite station without permission. Sean, instead of responding, walks away and shuts his room door. The next morning, Hank goes to Sean's room to talk, only to be shown a piece of paper with some words written on it. Hank asks Sean what it means, to which Sean replies that a few days earlier, he intercepted a broadcast from an unknown location, but was unable to fully capture the message with his equipment. This led him to sneak into the satellite station to record the entire signal. Later, Hank, former naval officer, and Sean decide to work together to decipher the message. When they finally solve it, they discover it refers to a mysterious island mentioned in 3 different books. However, they realize that the maps in each book are inconsistent. Hank overlaps all 3 maps, and during this examination, they manage to piece together the complete shape of the island, as well as its coordinates. Sean then tells Hank that the message could have been sent by his grandfather, Alexander Anderson, who disappeared 2 years ago, and insists they must go and find him. Initially, Hank refuses, but eventually agrees, and the two set off for Palau in search of the mysterious island. None of the guides in Palau are willing to take them to the coordinates of the island. Eventually, Gabato agrees to take them there with his helicopter. As Hank and Sean approach the helicopter, Gabato's daughter, Kailani, informs them that it will cost $3,000 to make the trip. Although Hank is reluctant, he agrees after Sean insists, and the 4 of them set off towards their destination. As they near the location indicated by the coordinates, they get caught in a storm. The further they fly into the storm, the harder it becomes to control the helicopter, and Gabato loses control. The helicopter gets caught in a massive cyclone and crashes into the ocean. A while later, all 4 of them are washed up on the shore of an island and regain consciousness, only to realize that the island isn't quite what Sean expected it to be. While gathering their belongings scattered along the shore, Sean accidentally discovers a cave that leads them through to a breathtaking landscape filled with natural beauty and mystery. Sean insists that they should search for his grandfather, Alexander, to see if he is still alive. Hank agrees, but Gabato and Kailani initially refuse the idea. However, they eventually agree and join the search for Alexander. As they venture deeper into the island, they come across an unusual rock formation. Hank points out that these are not ordinary rocks, but rather eggs. Suddenly, Gabato accidentally breaks the shell of one of the eggs, waking up an enormous lizard that begins to chase them. The group runs through the jungle with the lizard hot on their trail. Just when it seems they are cornered, Sean's grandfather, Alexander, arrives and fights off the lizard, saving them. They all follow Alexander back to his shelter. Kailani asks Alexander if they can use his radio to send out a distress signal for help. Alexander explains that it's not possible until the satellite comes into position, which will take about 2 weeks. Somehow, they all spend the night at that location. The next morning, Alexander leads them to an incredibly beautiful archaeological site, which everyone realizes is the lost city of Atlantis. While they marvel at the beauty of the place, Hank points out that the water in the wells tastes salty, suggesting that the island is sinking into the ocean. Alexander, however, states that according to his calculations, the island has 14 more years before it sinks. Hank, noticing the salt deposits on the buildings, estimates that the island could sink within the next 2 or 3 days. Alexander eventually agrees with this assessment. Sean then mentions that to save themselves, they must find Captain Nemo's hidden submarine on the island. To discover its location, they decide to retrieve Captain Nemo's diary from his tomb. Due to the narrow path to the tomb, only Kailani ventures inside to retrieve the diary. As the structure begins to collapse, Kailani narrowly escapes with the diary in hand. Alexander reads through the diary and identifies where the submarine is located, prompting the group to start their journey toward it. Along the way, they pass through scenic areas of the island, but are soon alarmed as a volcano becomes active, revealing that it is spewing pure gold. Continuing their journey, they come to a mountain they must climb. With no other option, they ride on the backs of giant bees, but soon find themselves chased by 3 large birds. After a difficult escape, they manage to survive, though Sean injures his leg in the process. That night, they rest at a suitable spot to recuperate. The next morning, they wake to see that the island is sinking much faster than they had anticipated. As they prepare to set out for the submarine, Kailani notices that Gabato is missing. Hank and Sean head off to find the submarine, while Alexander and Kailani go in search of Gabato, agreeing to meet quickly at the shore. Later, Sean and Hank arrive at the location where the submarine is said to be, but they do not initially see it. Determined, they both decide to dive into the ocean at that spot to search for it. Meanwhile, Alexander and Kailani, who went looking for Gabato, find him trying to gather a pile of gold. After hearing what Kailani has to say, Gabato stops what he is doing and joins them as they head to meet Sean and Hank. By this time, Hank and Sean, who are diving in the sea, manage to find the submarine. The two of them prepare to enter it, but are attacked by huge electric eels. Despite this, they successfully make it inside the submarine. Although they manage to power it up, the batteries, which are about 140 years old, are too weak. They decide to use the electric eel's current to power it up further. Meanwhile, as Alexander and the others reach the location of the submarine, the island begins to collapse and sink. Just in time, Sean and Hank use the power from the eels to activate the submarine and pull Alexander, Kailani, and Gabato on board as they float in the ocean. With great difficulty, they manage to navigate away from the sinking island and its collapsing sections. They then travels to Palau. The scene shifts to 6 months later, where it is shown that Gabato now works as a tour guide using Captain Nemo's submarine. Kailani and Alexander join in to wish Sean a happy birthday. The movie ends on a joyful note as they celebrate together, filled with laughter and happiness. Another thrilling adventure comes to an end. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more exciting movie summaries. See you in the next video.